Well, let's go to some of your calls right now. I want to see what your comments are on what we've been talking about. Let's go to Brian in Colorado. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brian.
Hi, yeah, doing a great job. I
Thank you.
wanted to talk about David Crowley. He was the director for Gray State,
Yes.
and he was apparent murder-suicide. There's a string of these things going on, and these people, they really need to be brought to justice. And to be quite honest with you, all you guys that work there, you're at danger for any of this stuff happening. So I would suggest anybody listening to this that's an advocate for freedom in this country, that this could happen to them, maybe get a camera and hide it and just share that information with very close people so we can at least get the guys, the henchmen, behind this.
Well, you know, it's
Maybe we
interesting
can
because
walk.
that's the way Joe Biggs got here to InfoWars, was because he was speaking out about what happened to his friend and Michael Hastings. And there was, at the very beginning, we looked at the accident of Michael Hastings. And again, I don't know about the Gray State. We've heard from people. We've been in contact with people on both sides. Some people believe that it was a suicide. Some people believe that he was murdered. But clearly with Michael Hastings, from the very beginning, the way the automobile accident was set up, I didn't buy it. And then we found in the subsequent days that he was telling everybody, hey, the FBI is coming after me. I need to go dark for a while. I'm on the run. Even concerned with his friend who lived in the same apartment building, concerned that somebody was planting something in his car. So there were a lot of indications about that, and that's the way Joe Biggs got here. So, yeah, we certainly understand that that is a risk. We certainly understand that our government is capable of assassinating people. They make it pretty open now. I mean, we've got drone assassination programs. They're still not openly talking about the fact that they would assassinate filmmakers or people who are journalists who criticize them. They're still keeping that quiet. They're still not talking about that openly. But yeah, we all understand that that's a risk. Go ahead. Do you have another comment?
Not really. I would encourage everyone to, with today's technology, it's the means. You can get a camera and stash it in your house. That way you've got peace of mind that you know that if they go and whack you, there's a good chance you might be able to find the people that are responsible for this. And in saying that, if we do catch one of these guys, they could lead us to who told them to go and do it. That would be the greatest thing ever.
Absolutely.
And keep up the good work and move right along the chain of calls. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Have a good
Brian.
day.
Yeah, when you're talking about keeping an extra camera there, that reminds me of the Adrian Schoolcraft situation. Of course, he was a New York City Police Department whistleblower, and he had recorded for a couple of years the fact that the New York City Police Department was encouraging people to go out and make arrests that were unnecessary, to do things to hide serious crimes so they would look good in the FBI statistics, nevertheless ruthlessly persecute people to try to collect petty fines. He was very upset about that. And so he started recording that. When they found out about it, the number two in command went to his apartment, and they basically gave him an ultimatum and said, you need to turn over these things, or we're going to commit you. And we have that recording because he was, not only did he have a recording on him at that time, and then they found that, and you can hear when they found that recording device on him in his apartment, but he also had another recording device up behind the books on the bookshelf, and they did not find that one. And his father, who was a police officer, after he went missing, searched his apartment, found that recording, and knew that they had committed him somewhere, but he couldn't find him for several days. Now, you talk about outing people and things happening to them. There's nothing happened to those guys in the New York Police Department, unfortunately. Not that I know of. Instead, they were coming after Adrian Schoolcraft. But he was able to, as a whistleblower, like Frank Serpico, expose a lot of the things that were being done by the New York Police Department. At the very maximum, what you're going to get from that is a change in policy because, again, like the bankers, like David Petraeus, nobody goes to jail in America if you're breaking the laws. It's only the whistleblowers, apparently, that they come after. But we're going to change that. Let's go to James in Italy. You wanted to talk about the Marines on the street, James? Go ahead.
Hi, I just want to bring up a point that the Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Team video that you guys have posted, you're bordering on disinformation, okay? Those Marines are stationed there at Camp Allen, Norfolk, Virginia. I'm a former fast Marine myself, and these guys will deploy to Rota, Spain, Bahrain, and Japan to basically set up security for 3 sectors of the world if and when a U.S. embassy would be attacked. They would go in and set up security and clear out the building if there were any hostiles involved.
Well, let me ask you about the asymmetric warfare center that they've got at the Marine base and Camp Lejeune. That's a asymmetric warfare center that's different from the one in Fort A.P. Hill. That the one in Fort A.P. Hill is set up essentially for a city with a lot of urban types of transportation. The one that Marines have is one that's set up for more suburban, rural aspect. Why do they have those there? Is that for the Marine embassy? Is that what they're training for, with an embassy in the farmlands or of America?
I was never involved in any of those areas. All the areas that I trained in were specifically mock embassies. And these Bravo Company Marines, formerly 3rd Fast, actually went to Benghazi when all that was going down, okay? So you can understand why these guys would be training in this video with fellow Marines as opposition forces, because they get put into very... Go ahead.
Yeah. Are you aware of any of the training scenarios where they have talked about getting people's Social Security numbers, where they have talked about how the enemy is the Tea Party conservatives and libertarians? Are you aware of any of those training scenarios?
I haven't been in the Marine Corps since 2010, and all the stuff that's coming to light lately, I never had any involvement in.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the MIAC report that came out in 2009, that was saying that was warning law enforcement coming out of a Department of Homeland fusion center, that was warning law enforcement, be on the lookout for people who have stickers that say that they voted for Ron Paul or for Chuck Baldwin, or people that have Gadsden flags, that type of thing. People who were would self-identify with a patriot movement. So that was something we broke back in 2009, but it is changing. It is getting more and more common to see this type of thing. And I guess, you know, when we look at this and we see Marines being used for crowd control, they did say that was in an embassy setting. But of course, we see that they're using this in a lot of different scenarios. When I went through Fort A.P. Hill, that was an American city. And so I have to wonder why they have the military training to take over an American city. Are you concerned at all about these training exercises that you see throughout the country?
Jade Helm has me concerned a bit.
All right. Thanks for letting us know, James. We're out of time. Stay with us. We're going to come right back after the break. We're going to take more of your calls. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host. In this last segment of the show today, we're going to go back to your calls. We just had a call from James in Italy talking about the video that we had showing Marines training for crowd control. And I think on the heels of the National Guard tapes that we just saw from the Dirty Bomb drill that were made by people in the area, showing the National Guard moving against role players who self-identified themselves as sovereign citizens, and that was the cue for the National Guard to go against them. I think that it's very concerning to see the military training over and over again in our cities, in these scenarios. And he says that unit that's there is a unit that is tasked with protecting embassies. Fine, I understand that. Nevertheless, we have the military at all levels and all divisions training throughout America in the cities at a level we have never seen before. And I don't think we should get used to this. I don't think we should tolerate this in the cities. And I'm very concerned about that. Again, as you're looking at this, you can see some clips from a couple of years ago. I think this one was in L.A. It looks like the night clips that they had in L.A. But, of course, it was just this is Fort Lauderdale just a couple of weeks ago, where they're lining people up, marching them off, and taking them in the dead of night, putting them into white vans. Is that the mission that we want for our military? Again, as I said, do we even want them doing that in foreign countries? Because that always has a history. That's the way human nature has always worked. That's the way empires have always worked. They always wind up using that against their own citizens, even if it was going to be used abroad. Let's go to some of your other calls. Let's go to Rich in New York. Rich?
Hey, David. How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Okay, listen, I had called once before, but it was the end of the show, and I just really want your opinion on something.
Sure.
The opinion is there's a court case. It's called the Credit River decision, and I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No. We don't have a lot of time, so give us a quick executive summary of what it is, because we are coming up against the end of the show again.
Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, basically, it's based on the laws of what's it called, corporate agreements. To be able to bind the contract. This gentleman fought a mortgage case up in Minnesota and won it. The guy was a lawyer, and the thing was called the credit river decision. And he based it on the fact that you have to supply legal consideration and assume a risk in order for a contract to be binding. There is no binding contract with frauds, Federal Reserve notes, and when a bank just moves numbers on a ledger, they're not assuming any risk either. So to me, this is a very important thing. I mean, he won that case. How many cases have been won on Roe versus Wade? This is a really important issue that people need to check out, because then it nullifies any contract, any mortgage, any credit card. If you look at it, they would have to find the person in favor of the person who's being harassed.
Well, the interesting thing, Rich, is that, just yesterday we were talking about how I think it was J.P. Morgan Chase was going to outlaw cash being used in deposit. We've had other talk about the abolishment of cash. It says on the dollar bill that it's legal tender. You can't do that sort of thing. And yet we see that they can do whatever they wish, whether it's money laundering, whether it's rigging the LIBOR rates, the stock market, the commodities market. They do whatever they wish, and they never go to jail. They just get a free pass. We saw that with John Corzine. That's the way it works in this country. And if they can get away with those kind of massive frauds, if they can do it out in the open and get away with that, we're not going to be able, as long as we let that happen, we're not going to be able to take them down on some finer points of law. As long as the American society tolerates that kind of open corruption and doesn't demand that these people go to prison, that's what's going to happen. And we saw that at the very beginning of the day with Obama wringing his hands about a couple of people who died because they were Americans, ignoring the thousands of people that he's killed with his drone assassination attacks. Join us tonight at 7 o'clock on the Nightly News.
My name is Alex Jones. Most of you know me from my syndicated radio program and my documentary films, as well as InfoWars Nightly News. When I got on air 20 years ago, I had discovered the globalist program, their plan to take over the world and install a corporate fascist state. I had read their own books, discovered their own documents, and my focus went from running 6 miles every other day, swimming 2-3 miles a couple times a week, and lifting weights, to focusing on fighting the globalist. I transformed my body from the beautiful gift that God gave me into something more akin to Jabba the Hutt. It became an internet joke. But now I've started the transformation back to getting my body, my temple in shape, and I'm about to tell you how I did it. I've gone from 279 pounds all the way down to 235 pounds, and the weight's going off even faster. I started taking Super Male Vitality and saw incredible results in just a few weeks. The problem was, though, I'd never been a vitamin and mineral and supplement taker before, so I kept forgetting to do it. So after I'd lost over 60 pounds, just a month and a half ago, I asked the crew to take a photo of me in the same lighting to see what I could do in just a month and a half. This is what happened in just 45 days. We took this photo back there in the back office, and I already lost a lot of weight, but I lost another 6 pounds with the Oxy powder and the other products at InfoWarsLife.com, and this photo was just taken a few days ago. And it wasn't just that my weight loss accelerated. My muscle mass increased. My stamina, my energy levels exploded. Super Male has the key concentrated natural compounds that my body needed to go to the next level. Today is the day to take the InfoWarsLife.com challenge and to secure your bottle of Super Male or Super Female Vitality. We've got to get our temple straight before we can go out and fight the globalist, and that's what these products have helped me do. Check them out today at InfoWarsLife.com or give our crew a call. They can answer all your questions or tell you about any of the specials at 888-253-3139.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, doing a great job. I wanted to talk about David Crowley. He was the director for Gray State.
Yes.
And he was apparent murder-suicide. There's a string of these things going on, and these people, they really need to be brought to justice. And to be quite honest with you, all you guys that work there, you're at danger for any of this stuff happening. So I would suggest anybody listening to this that's an advocate for freedom in this country, that this could happen to them, maybe get a camera and
Let's go to some of your calls right now. I want to see what your comments are on what we've been talking about. Let's go to Brian in Colorado. Go ahead. And Michael Hastings. And there was, at the very beginning, we looked at the accident of Michael Hastings. And again, I don't know about the gray state. We've heard from people. We've been in contact with people on both sides. Some people believe that it was a suicide. Some people believe that he was murdered. But clearly with Michael Hastings, from the very beginning,
hide it and just share that information with very close people so we can at least get the guys, the henchmen, behind this.
Well, you know, it's interesting because that's the way Joe Biggs got here to InfoWars, was because he was speaking out about what happened to his friend